Welcome, friends, to another episode of the At the Net podcast, powered by Tex-Mex Productions. Working the soundboards in the back of the house are our producers, D-Mac and Dave the Brain. Time to say hello to your hosts, Craig Bell and AJ Shabria, as they're about to take us through 3 sets of tennis, talking life and all the news as it seems to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Bell.
All right, that was the great James Scott Campbell on the guitar, wasn't it, tonight?
Guitar and drums.
And drums and everything,
Jimmy
right?
Campbell, ladies and gentlemen.
Great
and our At the Net podcast announcer with the intro, Margot Carter.
That would be the brilliant. Brilliant.
It sounds like the word of the night, Craig.
It is. It's the word of the night. Brilliant.
Well done.
Brilliant's the word of the night. But thanks to Margot Carter for that brilliant introduction. And welcome, fans of the great game. You are listening to Season 1, Episode 79. 79, AJ. What do you think about that?
79. Love it. It's been a great year and a half. And here's to hopefully a couple hundred more, pal.
Really? A couple hundred? Wow, man. All right. Man, that's going to be a long time, isn't it?
Why not?
You're going to get us into like 2040, something like that, 2050 or something.
It'll still be Season 1 somehow,
Season 1. Yeah. Right, that's right. All right. Well, so this is AJ Chabra, and I'm CB1. We're at the Net Podcast and talking the great game of tennis as it seems to us. Thanks also go out to our good amigos at Tex-Mex Productions. That would be Darian D. Mac McBrayer and Dave the Brain DeLeo from back of the house in Maryland, all the way from Maryland. It's hard to believe you can do this kind of stuff, right?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we were running just a couple of seconds late. We were working through a couple of technical things, but thanks to Dave the Brain from back of the house. He's helping us move the dials and buttons to make us sound like real people. Also, be sure to check out our good work on Fireside, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, CastBox, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and YouTube. Whew, man, that's a mouthful, wasn't it?
Paragraph full for you. Well done.
Basically, all the important communication sites the kids find popular, right? Do the kids find those things popular?
All the kids.
All the kids. All the woke kids.
Even people my age who do podcasts. This is cool.
And if you're a female, sorry guys, we're going to be sexist on this. We like the female voice better than we like the male voice. And if you'd like to be like the brilliant Margot Carter and read the opening intro, then feel free to hit us up, direct message, however, on YouTube or on Facebook, Instagram. Yep. We'll get with you and let you read the opening intro. So speaking of brilliant guests this evening, we've got a couple of brilliant guests, don't we, tonight?
We've got a repeat offender and another brilliant guest who we've only just met. You want to introduce and let Dr. Cohen?
Yeah, there he is. He's a three-timer here. He's a trinomial. So DRC. We're going to call him Dr. Rich Cohen. Yep. He's going to be DRC, the notorious DRC. Right. Yeah. So Dr. Cohen, how you doing tonight? It's good to see you.
Fine. I'm excited to see you guys again and have a great podcast tonight. Looking forward to it.
Oh, man, we were looking forward to it. When you suggested that you'd like to be a part of this again, we were like, oh, my goodness, Dr. Rich. DRC really likes what we're throwing out, laying down, all right?
He does. Doctor, you've introduced Jeff Puhan to us. Can you do us the honor of introducing him to our listeners? Then we'll roll him in.
I'd be glad to do that.
Thank you.
Jeff Puhan, I've known him for about 25 years. He started playing tennis up at the Lehigh Valley. He's from Allentown, and he developed into one of their top juniors there. Great group of juniors back then up in Allentown. And then he went to Ferris State and had a great program, and he learned about tennis management there. And he's always had a great game of tennis. He's has a really beautiful left-handed serve. Great topspin ground strokes, really classical ground strokes, moves around the court just like a ballerina. He's really he always keeps himself in great condition. After Ferris State, he started working as the director of junior tennis over it and did a great job over at Philly Cricket. He was there for many, many years, and I worked with him when he was younger with his own mental toughness, and then he started having me work with his top juniors there, and I started working with the top juniors over at Philly Cricket and gave a lot of lectures there. Then I saw how he took an extra interest in his students, and I was really impressed with that. He helped them making sure they did well academically, did well with their growth as adolescents, went with them to college interviews, talked to college coaches about them, and I was impressed with how much he tried. When some of his players had eating disorders, or when they had attention deficit disorders, or when they looked like world beaters in practice and they couldn't put it together in matches. He took them down to my office, and I used to work with them with toughness. So we spent a lot of time with his juniors down in my office, and then when he went down to Florida, he would come up, bring his juniors up here sometimes who were having some issues with mental toughness, and I'd work with them then. And I was always been impressed with how he'd work with the total whole player. Now he's down in Florida. He's got some of the best juniors down there, nationally ranked players. And they're supposed to be great kids too. And now he's also, now that when the COVID came along and they didn't have a lot of tournaments, he's running a whole bunch of, he's got a great circuit down there, running some good tournaments. He's got all his players involved in that. And, he's using my rule of threes that, the way to get better, you have to really try hard in practice. You play 1/3 of your tournaments where you're better than everybody, where you could just work on some new things. 1/3 where it's really competitive and you have to really put it on the line. And 1/3 where it's a reach. They're playing pro tournaments where players are better than you. And he's using that, and he's getting players involved in great practice matches and great competition with his own tournaments that he's running. So this guy is the real deal. If you want a player that's going to develop as a person and are going to be better, because tennis is a game, I feel, that not only it's the greatest game in the world, in my opinion, because you can not only learn so many, you can just enjoy the game so much. I have the joy of hitting. I hit tennis balls every day for 2 hours, and I have a game that I can play for the rest of my life, but you can also develop life skills on that, realize your limitations, and get better at what you don't do well. You can actually learn how not to make excuses. It's not that you're not doing well in life, maybe, or in matches. It's not the sun or the wind why you didn't win. It's because you just didn't maybe have it that day, and you can also learn life lessons like that. You learn how to focus, to stay in the here and now. You learn to develop short-term goals and long-term goals. And you do this in tennis, and then you transfer it over to academics and professionally and also in relationships. And Jeff takes care of the whole player, and he helps them with all these things. And we've discussed this on many occasions, how he does this. And so I'm impressed with how he just won't take a player and help them just with their tennis game, although he does a lot with that. And I've seen how he gets them to their full potential. He gets involved in their life, and he helps them that way. So this is a guy that I really think a lot of, and a great coach, Jeff Puhan.
All right.
Wow,
Jeff.
what an introduction.
That was beautiful and concise, and we're so proud to have you, Jeff. Jeff, how are you this evening?
I'm good. A little tired. It's been a long, say, 10 to 12 months.
Yeah, Jeff was actually running a tournament today, and so we got him right after he's been on the courts for many, many hours today, so he's exhausted, but he was looking forward to this. I talked to him on the phone earlier today.
I'm so happy you've joined us, Jeff. Tell us a quick bit. You were, Rich mentioned Philly Cricket. Philadelphia Cricket Club is one of those legacy clubs, and before that, Ferris State, where it's one of the few tennis management programs. You and I have we've got some mutual friends, too, like Kyle LaCroix, who also went to Ferris State.
Dolph Ramsey.
Yeah, Dolph, that's right. And, of course, Dolph was probably before Jeff's time. Tell us a little bit about your time at Ferris.
We were there together.
You did?
Yeah. He was older than I was, but he was there when I was there.
Really, Dolph was?
Yeah.
No kidding. Wow.
Good call.
Yeah, I figured that you might know him. He's an interesting guy.
Yes, he is. He certainly is.
Yeah, Jeff, tell us a little bit about your time in Allentown, famous for a Billy Joel song, but also famous for you and steel industry and coal and all that. Tell us from going from that to Ferris to Philly Cricket.
Oh, geez. Okay, so, Allentown, at that point, I mean, we actually had an amazing group of juniors back then up there. We had, the Boone Swangs, who all were top in the country, guys like Colin Delaney, Joe Wong. I came from an unbelievable junior program in such a small town at that particular time, which was, great, obviously, for me. But then I went on to Ferris. I decided that at some point I wanted to get out of the Lehigh Valley. Like there was more than just, the Lehigh Valley. And so I went off to Ferris State, joined their tennis management program, played a little tennis there, which was awesome. Then did a few internships, and I actually got the Philadelphia Cricket Club internship on my own. I was very aggressive. I just was like, hey, and I had a couple of other coaches and pros in the area, guys like Julian Krinsky and all these guys who had known me for a long time, said, you need to hire this guy, man. So they went out of their way and hired me. And that summer I made such an impression that they actually tried to talk me into not going back to school to finish my last semester of college, that I could transfer and maybe, go somewhere else. And I said, no, I can't do that. And they kind of flew me in a few times, interviewed me and said, hey, we want to hire you. So I was like, great. So my last semester wasn't so great at school, let's say, because I had a full-time job, but it was all right.
That's fantastic. And Julian, we know from South Africa, and a brilliant guy in Philly. Julian didn't work with you, but he recommended you for the Philly cricket job?
He recommended me because I actually did an internship with him. I did an internship with IMG, and we ran all the ball kids and trained all the ball kids for when the Virginia Slims was a sponsor. And we did that for the Virginia Slims of Philadelphia and the Virginia Slims of Houston. So that was pretty cool.
That's excellent. What's it like working at a club like Philly Cricket, which is about 110 years old, right?
Well, no, over that, 1854.
Wow.
Wow. 1854. That's
oldest club in the country. There's another club, 1854 in Boston, but it's maybe 6 months.
Yeah, I think that's Longwood Cricket Club. Yeah, very similar, yeah.
Well, it was interesting. I was there for 16 years. So I saw the club change in so many ways. When I first got there, it was all the old school Philadelphia money, Campbell's soup money, things like that. Then it evolved into them growing a little bit, getting younger people in. And so then you had this whole conflict between the younger and the older, right? But they were a family-oriented club. They wanted to see the kids' tennis program excel. And so that's what my number one job was. And we took that program from about 40 kids to I maxed out at 325. It was incredible.
On how many courts? 325 kids.
We had 24 grass courts, 11 clay courts, 2 hard courts. Unfortunately, we only had 2 indoor courts. So during the winter months, we were able to keep about 75 to about 100 kids playing tennis throughout on a year-round basis.
Did you bubble some of those outdoor courts?
No, we just had an indoor tennis structure.
I see.
Interesting, boy. That's 1854. I'm still imagining what was going on in 1854. Around that place, there probably wasn't a whole lot of just plenty of land, obviously, and then it's a well-known club.
This is before Randolph and Mortimer Duke was even
That's
born.
right. Yes, they were. That's right.
The famous Philadelphia financiers. Yeah,
Duke and Duke.
That was a great movie.
One of the best. Anytime anybody is ever in Rittenhouse Square, you can't help but feel that, this is where Eddie didn't have legs and then has legs. Or down there is the squash club where Dan Aykroyd played. Yeah.
He went to Harvard. He had my Harvard tie on. Can you imagine that? Harvard, my tie. Looking good, Billy Ray.
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Hey, so you were head professional at Philly Cricket. You handled juniors and what else there?
Women's. We had 6 or 7 women's teams. The men were easy. Everything. We ran the junior international grass court championships, and back then when I was there, it was more like a grade 2 ITF event and a USTA Surface Championship. So they would come right from hard courts. They'd come from Kalamazoo and then come from San Jose, California. They play the grass courts, which they loved because it was like the first time the girls and the guys were together all summer long that they haven't seen, right? And they all know each other. And then they went on to Canada, played Montreal, and then Junior U.S. Open. So, I remember my first grass courts, right? I can tell you exactly what court I put them on. D row, which is the last row, the third court on. Jan Michael Gamble played 13-year-old Tommy Haas.
What a match.
Tommy Haas takes him down, gets to the finals that year. Insane.
What a great matchup, and that's third court on D row. And what about some of the girls? They came from AVAC in San Jose, and then came to you. Any notables? Any funny matchups or stories?
I'm sure there are. I was like 5 years ago.
I got a funny story about the grass courts for you. That Josh just was like top 20 in the world. It was just a level 2 tournament. He wasn't going to play it. And he just got to the finals at Kalamazoo. And he came over there. He was down at the shore for the weekend with his girlfriend. And it was 4:30 was the sign-in time. So we got back from the shore at 4 o'clock. I said, why don't you just play the tournament? It'd be good practice for you. So he got over there at 4:27. He signed in, and then he won the whole tournament. Had a in the first round, he was down 5-2 in the third set, double match point, but then he won in the finals, won in love.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable start. And with 3 minutes to spare, he entered the tournament. Jeff, were you at the desk when Joshua Cohen came up and rolled up and signed up last second?
I was.
You're the guy. That's hilarious. Hey, switching away from Philly cricket a little bit, tell us a little bit about what you're doing. I want to kind of transition now that we've got a little background on you as a junior player and getting your education in professional tennis management and then working so hard for, did you say 16 plus years at Philly cricket?
16 years.
So tell us about making that transition to having your own business, which I believe you now call Puhan Personalized. And it's also Level 7 Tennis Academy. Tell us a little bit about going on your own and then moving down to Boca Raton.
Yeah, only Puhan Personalized now. That's it. And I made my way down here more so originally for just a life change, right? Because I was so burned out.
Oh.
And I was working so many hours and doing so many things. I was also traveling a lot with a lot of different players. And so it was just, it got a lot, wore me down just a bit. So I came down here. But then once I got a year under my belt down here, I decided, okay, I had enough. I recharged my batteries. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So I just, started back up again. And then I tried to move back to Philadelphia for a period of time and maybe do a north-south connection, like take kids that were homeschooled, bring them to Florida for X amount of 6 months or so, go back up there. And I just, the mindset of the players actually in Middle States, and Richie can tell you this, is it's not the same. Like, even though the players up there want to be really, really good, they're okay with practicing 3 days a week.
Just not enough. In fact, it's about half what it takes.
Then I just decided, a really good friend of mine talked me into going out on my own, using my name. He's like, Jeff, it's time, go. So that's when I started Puhan Personalized, and next thing you know, the last, say, year and a half, just been off of the charts.
Great.
Kids coming in from all over the country, the best kids in the world, kids from like a Luke Casper from California, who's like 3 in his class. He's going to A&M. Kids like Thomas Paulsell coming in from Seattle, Washington, who's going to the University of Georgia. All these kids. I got some of the best players in the world, juniors in the world working here. And I work with some of the top, female WTA athletes who come into Boca now. And so it's just been off of the charts.
Yeah, all our friends like Kyle, like Alex K from Illinois, everybody raves about what Jeff's doing in Boca, and you've only been there about is it a year or two?
Well, no, I was here for a while, but
That's
I was
true.
kind of like just more like under the radar. I was just doing my coaching privately, doing this, and then I was just like, all right, the gloves are off. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Tell us about the mindset. Maybe you can take us through the mindset of, okay, I was burnt out, I am rested, and now I am taking the gloves off. What did you go through, and how does that relate to some of Dr. Richie's great advice that he said at the beginning when he was saying, you're in the here and now? Tell us a little bit about what you went through.
Well, my last couple years up in Philadelphia took a toll on me, and I needed to get away, and I just needed a break from the rat race, everything that was happening up there. So I thought, okay, a friend of mine down here told me to come down. I helped him out a little bit. Scott Williams, I helped him out at the St. Andrews School, and I was the girls' coach. And our assistant happened to be someone named Chris Everett.
Oh, wow. That was an assistant. Not.
Might have heard of her.
Of course. I mean, she's most famous for being the sister of John.
Right.
Sister John, right, who I just saw today.
Thought so. I saw that picture of you and Big John next to you. I thought, even with a mask on, I know that guy.
Yeah, I saw John and Chrissy today. I actually take a group of my girls over there like twice a week, and we play practice matches with their girls. So I have a good relationship with them, which is fun. And then that's how it really started. Then I was working with all the girls. I took one of the girls on that team up who had some issues with whether it was eating, whether it was mental. I took her up to Philadelphia, and Dr. Cohen helped her a ton. And I took her from really nothing to a blue chip recruit in 18 months. And She ends up with a full ride at Wake Forest and had an unbelievable career, NCAA All-American, NCAA champion. It was off the charts.
That's tremendous. Did she already have the technical and the tactical side, and you helped her, and Dr. Richie helped her with the mental, or what did you work on?
Get a little bit of the technical. She needed help on that. I basically changed her forehand and backhand. I had basically changed everything.
This girl was really talented, and Jeff helped her. This girl, technically, she was fantastic after Jeff, but she just didn't have it together emotionally. And I helped her with a lot of her emotional things that she was going through, some things in her life. And then all of a sudden, this girl put it together and shot. With Jeff's guidance, she really shone through with her. She's doing great in her life, from what I understand, and she did well academically at Wake Forest, and she did unbelievable tennis-wise. So this is another example of how Jeff really helped somebody as a total person.
Well done. I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing currently as it relates not necessarily to coaching, but this new trend. You saw a gap when COVID has hit for the past year. You saw a huge gap, and, we've got a few other friends in that industry also. South African Davis Cupper Christo van Rensburg is doing this thing called Drop Shot Tournament Series. You're doing something similar where a lot of your prize money UTRs are as big as a pro circuit event that might be a 25K. How are you doing it? Talk about it and take us through your process, man.
I'll just tell you how it started, and then I'll tell you a little bit about who's in the quarterfinals of our women's event this weekend. But so here's how it started.
Yeah.
I'm working with a lot of the top kids in the country. COVID hits, tournament stop. Okay, we're back out. We're only quarantined for a month, so that's fine. We're in Florida because no one really COVID doesn't exist down here.
The sun's always killing it, right?
It's always killing it, right? So I'm out. And the kids are really pumped. Some of the juniors that want the college coaches to watch them at clay courts, they come to practice one day. It's a No, it's Saturday morning. Kids are in tears. The kids asked me, Jeff, can I just take the weekend off? Why am I doing this? What am I training for? There's no clay courts. There's probably not going to be hard courts. So I was like, I left that day, and my heart goes out to them because I really do. I care truly a lot about all my players. I sat down and said, what can I do? On Sunday, I personally texted players all over the country, players I've worked with just even short time that I've known for years. I texted them, hey, if I run an unofficial tournament, unofficial now, would you play? Like in 30 seconds, I must have gotten 40 responses. Sign me up. When? I said, well, how is June? Okay, how about, and I gave 2 weekends in June. Okay, this weekend, this week. Okay, great. Awesome. I set it up, and it was an invitational tournament only, just based on text. And I did a 32 draw, 32 women's, 32 men's, and I did a compass draw so they each could get 4 matches. And the draw was stacked. I had people from Alex Bernard, who's top 20 in the world, Logan Zapp, #1 in the country. He's playing at UNC, Ben Shelton, Luke Casper. I mean, the draw was insane. Sarah Hamner, #1 in the country in the girls' 18s. I mean, it was loaded, and it was invitation only. It had a 32 draw. And then I had it verified. Finally, UTR said, hey, we're not freezing it. So I texted everybody and said, hey, it's going to be UTR. And that's how it started. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, we have an amazing facility. Running tournaments to me is pretty simple. Aside from the last 25K I just went through last week. That took a lot out of me because we had 10 players in that played in Australian Open. It was an insane 25K, but that's how it started. And then I got sponsors behind it who gave money. So I had more money for prize money, and then bigger and bigger people came. And this week's our biggest one, 230 players. 230 players. Today, I played 127 matches.
Jeff, that's tremendous. When you say 230, how many are men's singles, how many are women's singles, or is it all one pool UTR?
107 men's singles. 67 women's singles. And in our quarterfinals, we have 3 girls. I have a girl who's 200 WTA and 2 girls in the top 20 in the world in the juniors.
Well, that's amazing. What do you think Dr. Rich would fit in? Would he be the top seed?
Number 1.
There's Julia. I didn't know she was there.
Spoken like a adorable daughter.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Dr. Cohen and Julia in the mix.
Yeah, come on. They're quite a team. They've won 25 gold balls or something like that?
We have 16 national champion gold balls.
16 and counting. See, they'd be in Jeff's top probably 4, something like that in the mixed doubles.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to divert that path, but that's an incredible amount. 230 players. Would a USTA? I'm not trying to throw the USTA under the bus or anything like that. Would a USTA tournament be like that? What's the fascination? Is it UTR, USTA? I mean, what do you think?
It's competition.
Okay.
Players want to play against the best, and I realize that. And actually, it really has very little to do with the prize money. The players will seek out the tournament that has the best players in it. Yes. Bottom line. Because there were 2 other tournaments this weekend in Boca. One happened to be a USTA men's and women's open that had, I don't even know, less than 20 people. And then another quote-unquote UTR event that was supposed to be a big-time prize money event. And they had 20 girls and 20 guys, and their girls were very low level. So they're not... They're playing for the competition. That's what they want.
It's less about the points. I'm sure part of it is UTR, the fact that it is verified.
Now that ITF Pro Circuit events are coming back into the States, So eventually these type of tournaments will die down a little bit because those players are going to want to play those. But for the time being, there are none of those. They don't feel safe traveling the world yet. You know, I have a couple of girls that wanted to go play some 15Ks in Slovakia this month, but they're shutting things down over there and they don't want to get stuck over there.
Makes sense. I do know some kids who are traveling to Asia, but there is that stress and that worry, not just about the virus, but travel restrictions one way or another, and quarantine too. Most of these players that you're getting at a 2:30 at one of your circuit events, are they within driving distance, or are they staying the night somewhere? Where are they all coming from?
They're flying in from all over the country.
They really are.
That's the amazing thing. They are literally flying in from all over the country.
You mentioned Luke from Seattle. These kids are coming from as far as you can get in this country.
As far as you could get. It's insane. And mostly because I have a personal relationship with them, and I've known some of these kids since they're 10 years old, since I first came to Florida. So I've developed this relationship with these players and families at all the national events. So you know, a little bit of it is loyalty too, right? They want to go where they're comfortable. Our tournaments are one of a kind. Like the atmosphere at our tournaments, even our last 25K with the women, they were like, "This is amazing!" Like the atmosphere. It's a public park basically, so that there's so much open space, but there's so much. These people just hang out together. It's more like a social event. But yet they're playing serious tennis, but they all get to hang out together and see each other.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
We've got a great question from a very loyal listener. His name is Nick Smith. He's a teaching pro also. One of the questions, and I feel this too, is what do you feel needs to be the path here moving forward, COVID or not, whether it's UTR, normal sort of national tournaments, or some kids choose the ITF route and not play a lot of USTA. What are you seeing? And maybe you can predict a trend when COVID, hopefully, God willing, subsides a little bit and things go back to normal with some freedoms.
Yeah, well, I think the trend is going to be, first off, if you're on the pro track, right, you're going to obviously play the pro circuit events. If you're good enough to play those, because that's what you need. You need the points, right? They're playing for points. They're playing for ranking so they could get into 25Ks, 75, 60s, 80s, 100s, and 250s. But if you're not going that route, I really see the trend staying within the confines of these UTR events, because at the end of the day, that's where they're getting their best competition, right? And that's basically what you want. Whether you talk to any college coach, they want to see their players, even whether they're sophomores and are already being recruited, they want to see their players playing in the highest level competition possible, playing the best players, seek out. And some of these ITF events that these guys are playing, some of these grade 4s, grade 5s, they're playing those grade 4s or grade 5s because they can't play anything else. But they can get into those. But that's not going to help them get any better.
It isn't, yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the prize money and how are the politics of that? I know this as a college player in the 80s, and I would have to, when I was able to get into a satellite, and if I earned even this much money, which is generally what it was, I would have to say, look, these are the expenses, or I would have to say, I can't take that check, and like you're really bummed, right? Tell us the deal now.
Okay, so it's changed a little bit.
Of course.
The players are allowed to take up to at least $10,000.
Right.
So, you know.
And that's for the whole year, right?
For the whole year.
Yeah.
But obviously minus their expenses, so they can basically take $20,000 if they have $10,000 in expenses, and they're only taking $10,000 in prize money.
So even
that's changed.
So even a 17-year-old kid who's still not in college, but she or he has a high enough UTR, gets into one of these, gets into the semis or the money rounds. First of all, where are the money rounds? Quarters and up, or where?
For us, it changes. Sometimes it starts in the quarters. Sometimes it starts in the semis. We've also done things where we've done a quarterfinal playoff. So we've made the players earn their money. Like if they want to not play and they want to take eighth, well, that's fine. This is what your prize money is. But if you want to play off and win fifth, then this is what your prize money is. But typically, it's quarters, semi. This one happens to be semis. 300.
Not too shabby, Jeff. When people see a backdraw match or a quarterfinal playoff match, are you getting crowds coming to watch that with a little distance and with masks, or is it no crowds and live stream only? How are you getting it out there?
No, it's crowds. Barely any masks, to be honest. In Florida, right? It's like, it's unreal.
Right.
I mean, no matter what we try, I mean, like today we probably had 1,000 people at the park.
1,000 people?
At least.
That's huge. Craig, while you were producing a bit, we worked on Nick's question about the path in the future. But another really cool question is, it seems tough for kids to even get into some of these tournaments. Obviously, the ones that are invitation only are invitation only. But as you've expanded, and I realize that's how it was when you started it, now how are people hearing about them, and how are people able to enter?
Well, they enter on the UTR website, and I think pretty much everybody across the country knows about our events.
Yeah.
And I actually do separate the draws. Like in this particular one, I do have 2 draws, basically an A draw and a B draw, because it is level based, and obviously someone who's a 7 UTR doesn't need to play a 14 UTR. Play a 12 UTR in the back draw. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So, I take anybody who wants to sign up, and if I have enough at the lower level, I'll create another bracket and draw for them so they can have some good competition. Because they're not signing up for the tournament, obviously, to win it.
No, yeah.
They just want to play and they want competition.
And hopefully they get what Dr. Richard was talking about, where it's about 33% at the reach level, it's about 30% at exactly your level, and it's about 33% in their personal mix of I get to work on this and I get to really sort of develop the confidence. We have gotten to talk a little bit about the administrative side, the mental side, thanks to Dr. Rich, and a little bit on the coaching or technical side. I want to ask another question. This is more on the event side. The man next to me is a bit of an expert on this, but some of our listeners want to know from a guy like you, Jeff. I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you there.
A Northwestern hat.
Oh, this is actually not Northwestern. It's Weber State Wildcats. It's the same color. It's that flying W from Utah.
Actually, Dr. Cohen knows really well who was one of the best players ever at Northwestern.
Right.
Oh, wow.
He came out of Philly cricket.
Right.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, they ripped us off. You know, everybody wants to be a Wildcat. You know, Kansas State, Northwestern, but Weber State, the Harvard of Utah.
Dr. Cohen, tell us your favorite Northwestern Wildcats player.
Well, there's a guy named Sam Shropshire I used to hit with when he was 12 years old. Great kid. His mother played pro tennis. Really came from a great family. They had about 2 or 3 really great 12-year-olds who were the level of the best in the country back then. Mm-hmm. And I used to come over and work out with the 12-year-olds over there. And Jeff put a lot of time into them. And this Sam Shropshire worked out amazing, and he became probably the best player ever in the history of Northwestern, probably tied with another guy from Philadelphia named Mark Silva.
Oh, another great name, yeah. Yeah.
And I have another interesting, just a quick 30-second story about Philly cricket. I was playing a junior tournament at Allentown. I played all 3 events, won the 13, 15s, and 18s. Philly cricket called me up on the phone and said, take a break from the tournament. We have somebody coming over. We have a Maureen Connolly. It was 1960. It was right after her accident. We want you to play an exhibition match against her. She's hurt. But I said, geez, Maureen Connolly? And
Yeah.
go over to Philly Cricket right in the middle of the tournament, drive down from, my parents drove me down from Allentown, and I played on the center court at Philly Cricket. I'm 13 years old, and I played this exhibition against Maureen Connolly there.
Wow.
What a nice lady, and what an unbelievable experience.
That's incredible. Teenage Richie and little Mo facing off on the grass. That is excellent. Hey, I want to get back to that question. I was touting the man next to me, Craig Bell, as a brilliant event planner. One of our listeners, and I would say both of our co-hosts want to know, what are some of the details that you engage in and make them happen? I'm not just talking about getting sponsors, but what are some of these details that make an event memorable and the type of event that people are like, look, Puhan's doing another tournament, I'm going, and let's spread the word. What are those details? Tell us.
Well, number one is communication, right? That's number one, and we get complimented on our communication. We're always updating. Anytime we have a change, any weather delay, anything, it's constant communication. And I think that's what you see a lot of tournaments don't do so well at. Number two, obviously, customer service. Like, we give them what a pro wants, right? And they love that. We always provide complimentary waters, Gatorades, things like that for all the players. And, that's things they really, really enjoy, where the other tournaments are not doing that. More so because they just don't have the experience doing that. Like, my assistant and myself are so used to being around such high-level players. We know what they expect. We know what they want. And so we give them what they want. And they have such a great experience. Organization, right? Organization is so important with scheduling matches. You hear that. Oh, I hear that every day. Well, fortunately, I've had enough experience through my, life at Philly Cricket, whether it's international grass courts, whether it's organizing the 2006 ITF World Senior Championships, where we had over 10,000 players from all over the world.
Crazy.
Wow, 10,000. Free beer? Did you give them free beer?
No, but we had to kick out a Russian guy from the pool who was swimming naked. Like, what is going on?
I thought you weren't going to say Dr. Richie was out there in the pool, swimming around. 10,000 people at a tournament, an ITF tournament that you ran.
That was insane.
Oh, my goodness. I can't imagine. How many courts did you run that on?
Well, we used all the clubs in Philadelphia. We used Germantown Cricket Club,
Sure.
Marion Club, and then some of the other age groups played on the clay. So we used basically every country club in the area.
My goodness, that's an unbelievable undertaking.
A lot of scheduling logistics there.
My head hurts just thinking about that. 10,000 people. Wow.
That's huge.
Singles and doubles and team, right?
Doubles and team, yep. Exactly.
That's a lot of folks. Rich, did you play it? Dr. Cohen, did you play that tournament?
I played some of the big senior tournaments over there. I don't think I played that one though. But I played I played the national 30s there. The national 35s, they had them. I don't think I played the national 70s there.
Give somebody else a chance to win the trophy. That's nice of you. It's always
Very
kind of
sweet.
you, Dr. Cohen. You got to let somebody else win every once in a while.
Very sweet of you. Jeff, you and Richie have worked together before as you used his expertise, his psychiatric and his coaching and mental toughness brain for some of your best players in Philadelphia. Tell us a little bit about that synergy, not really back then, but some of the lessons that you learned from him through your mutual students, how you're using that currently in the projects you're working on down in Florida now, Jeff.
Well, when I was younger, I would always listen to how he spoke to the players, things he used, like expressions like, you want to be like a horse with blinders on, right? You're always looking forward. You're never being distracted. You're always, eyes forward. So that's one that always has stuck with me. And I use that term every day, if not every day, 4 days a week, at least with players. So all of that has been so helpful for me share with my players.
That's a great example. In this field of podcasting and broadcasting, it's not always our job to put people on the spot. But here we go, Dr. Cohen. How's this guy doing? How's Jeffrey doing right now? What would you give him as a grade?
I think he's really. I see the way he's developed as a person, as a tennis pro, and I'm so proud of him. I mean, he's really stepping into his own. He's found his element in Boca. Boca's probably the tennis center of the United States, where weather-wise, court-wise, player-wise, and people see how he's very competent technically, and he's there for his players emotionally, and he puts a lot of energy into his players. So it's good for me to see. I mentored him when he was younger, and it's great to see how he's developed as a person, as a coach, and this has brought a lot of pleasure and joy for me to see how great he's doing. And we talk about every month or so, and he just gives me an update about how he's doing, and I'm so proud of him. And he used to come up here during the summers, so we get up here during the summers and we hit and talk. And he's too busy now to get up here during the summers. He was up here 2 summers ago, and we had some great conversations, and had some great hits. And it's just it's good to see how he's developed as a person, and it's bringing a lot of pleasure for me.
Well, that was a neat moment, and thank you for answering that candidly. Jeff, here's a quick question before we head over to our third set. I'd love to ask you what. We've learned a lot about your past and your current project. I want to ask you a little bit about two-part question here. Number one, how do people get a hold of you, not just through my UTR to enter a tournament, but in general for coaching advice? And my next question is, what are your future projects that people should know about?
Yeah, so, they can reach out to me. I have my Facebook page, my Instagram page, so people usually reach out to me by that. They can email me, my cell phone number.
Good. We will tag Puhan Personalized on our follow-up post,
Yep.
or if people want to grab you, it's Puhan Personalized on Instagram and on Facebook, and you can hit our promo post. There are 3 or 4 this past 2 days, and they can simply hit that tag. And tell us about future projects, Jeff.
Well, I just started talking to a few people about that. So I'm going to tap into my assistant. Was one of the best players to ever come out of Germany, and we're going to start tapping into that market. I'm going to have to hire a few other people, so I don't have to keep doing everything I'm doing. But we're going to continue doing that. I'll probably hire somebody to start running the tournaments more on a full-time basis so I can step away from that, more so become the CEO, right?
Gotcha. Make the big money and have the larger deals rather than the small picture.
My full-time job, right? I have a few kids training with me from Houston. They need me on the court, right? Not off. They need me off the court for other reasons, but they need me on the court to help them. So that's kind of where I'm going at this moment in time. Probably continue to expand. I have a couple girls from California who want to come in for the next 6 months.
Oh, good.
Somehow I'll have to try to find some housing for them.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm going at this moment.
Jeff, great stuff. Craig,
I was going to ask him, do you ever sleep? I mean, how many hours a night do you get? I mean, golly, you've got all this stuff going on. I'm like, yeah.
It's funny story. So I work with this. I started working with this Edge Sports Agency. So they just recently started this agency about 3 years ago. They do have a great football player, Ezekiel Elliott.
We've heard of him in Dallas.
That guy right
yeah,
here.
He's pretty good. He's not bad.
We have a group of these young female tennis players now. And so when they come into town, Boca, right, Jason Severhos, who works at the center where I am, he's kind of like the manager of that tennis side. So then I take care of all their tennis guys. But the owner, Daniel, I've been speaking to because he was one of our sponsors for our 25K. The rumor was he never sleeps. He only sleeps like 4 hours a day.
Wow.
And so I told him, I feel like you now. I don't eat 4 hours a day because that's all I have time for. Like, I haven't eaten dinner yet. It's 10 p.m. And I'll be back at courts at 6:30.
Yeah, we're going to let you roll through this third set very, very quickly. But before we do, Dr. Cohen, you said some very meaningful things about Jeff and how he has made you proud. I know that some of our listeners are either parents of good players, they are good players themselves, or they're tennis coaches. If you could, give us a few nuggets as to what all three of these demographics, coaches, players, and parents, can do to make a mentor like you proud. What are some things? I'm talking about club players, elite juniors, and also tennis professionals.
I think, like, to see, like, Jeff has these characteristics, and it's made me proud of him. He's got empathy. He can put himself, meaning it's not just sympathy. He puts himself in his player's shoes and sees where they're coming from, and sees their pluses and minuses, and sees the feelings they're having. He's genuine, as you guys that's come off. He's what you see is what you get. He's a real person. He's not putting on a show. He's more self-actualized. He's not trying to be something he's not, and he's non-judgmental. Players can come to him and feel comfortable with them. He doesn't put them down. He doesn't see them in a certain light, and he can keep confidences with them, and they feel comfortable talking to them. So the fact that he has those characteristics are something that makes him a wonderful coach, being non-judgmental, being empathetic, being able to be genuine, are traits that he has that makes him a wonderful coach. And I don't want to give you a swelled head, but I'm telling you the way it is.
That is a great answer. Craig Bell, are we ready for set number 3, my man?
Let's do it.
Let's have some fun. Let the hair down a little bit.
I want to start off by saying this set's sponsored by Master Systems.
Yes.
The great Blair Descaray, he's a local court contractor, accessory guy. If anybody's looking for any accessories, court products, go see our buddy Blair D with Master Systems.
And if you need to spell that, it's at the top of the screen. They're at the top of the industry. And we're very proud of our sponsors. So
he might go up to Allentown, too, mightn't he?
I bet. Why not? I think he's a Billy Joel fan.
Yeah, he might be. I was sitting there. You guys got to know Billy Joel, don't you? He's from Allentown, isn't he?
He's probably from Long Island.
I know.
But he likes PA. He likes that.
All right, here we go, Jeff. All right, first band you saw in concert.
First band I saw in concert. I think I saw Tony Orlando and Dawn with my parents. I was like a little kid.
Yeah, it was like late 70s, I bet.
You're tying the yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, you know. You don't remember that, AJ?
I love that song.
No, you weren't old enough. You were
no,
two?
That was all over AM radio and FM radio. It was overexposed, and this guy goes to see their concert. Amazing.
Well, Richie and I remember them. I don't know, but Jeff, he was a little nipper as well.
Yeah.
Tony Orlando, no, that's awesome.
That's great.
If you could hear a band, is there a band you'd like to hear in concert that you haven't heard? Are you a band guy? Music?
I am. I've seen just about everybody. Honestly, who haven't I seen?
Well, who's your favorite band? Who's your favorite then?
My favorite band?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't have a favorite band. I like so many different genres.
Uh-huh.
Like I love music. I was a music guy when I grew up. I played saxophone, played the drums, was in the jazz band. So to me, I appreciate just good music.
So the genre. Well, I always like to say genre because that's a good word for somebody from Oklahoma.
He loves throwing the D in there.
Genre. Yeah, there's dra. There's a dra in genre.
Yeah.
Genre. Rock, jazz, zydeco, classical, country and western, or country or western, disco, rap, reggae, bluegrass. You like it all, huh?
I like it all. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, amazing concerts. I saw Prince. He was amazing. Played every instrument out there. I actually saw 3 consecutive nights. I went to the Billy Joel, Elton John when they played their concerts together. The old Vet in Philadelphia. That was pretty cool.
Wow, the old Vet. I was sitting there thinking about that. I had to go, wow, that's the old circular one, like Riverfront Stadium.
Yeah, Veterans. Round.
Had the circle. Yeah, the old cookie cutter Houston Astrodome. That was a long time ago. Okay, so now this question, interesting that you're in a band, okay, because we like to ask particular questions. Lead singer, lead guitarist, drummer, keyboards, bass guitars. Where do you line up besides playing saxophone? I've never had ask anybody if they play saxophone in the band. So if you didn't play saxophone, of those 5, are you a front man? Are you the guy that wants to be like Mick Jagger, Billy Joel? Do you want to be like that? Or are you in the back, playing the bass guitar, saxophone, that kind of thing?
No, I think I'd be in the front because I was in a few school musicals where I had some solos where I had to sing. So I'd like to be up front.
Would you? All right. Yeah. Who would you be? Who would you be like as far as a musical guy? Would you Steven Tyler? Mick Jagger, or you're more of a Billy Joel kind of guy? Bruce Springsteen.
I would say I'd be more like a Maroon 5.
Oh, there we go.
Adam
Levine. Yeah.
Pat Monahan from Train.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's great. I like that kind of stuff. Those are some more the newer type musicians as opposed to the guys kind of in the back, right?
Right.
Yeah. First page.
I love older type music myself.
Oh, okay. Do you go way back to even like Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys? That kind of stuff.
Now that's before my time.
That's way before your time. It's before my time, but I listen to them as well.
I love it.
I like those guys. Or do you like that kind of stuff? Or do you James Dean, that kind of era? Or how far back do you go?
Sam Cooke. Those guys are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back, man. This guy.
I know Dr. Richie's a big Motown and 60s fan. He requested some Martha and the Vandellas, which is some brilliant song, brilliant music there.
Dancing in the Street would be great.
That would be great. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, what's your first paid gig? Before you made some money there in Allentown? Did you work at a paper route? Did you do something,
I worked in a restaurant.
Really, a restaurant? What were you doing in the restaurant?
I started when I was young as a busboy, and then I started to learn to be a chef.
Chef.
Awesome. You worked your way up to being a chef. It's Craig, I feel like I say this a lot, but I've got to say it again. It's startling how many of our ultra successful, brilliant, there's the word of the day.
Brilliant.
Guests start off with very humble, sort of working class jobs as teenagers. Jeff, how old were you when you did the busboy gig, and how old were you when you worked your way up to actually doing some of the chef work?
Yeah, I was 14, and then the owner of the restaurant was the Candlelight Inn at the time. It was the premier and best places to eat, like fine dining. My mom was the manager, and so the owner's son was a good friend of mine, and he was exactly my age, so they were grooming us to kind of take over the line.
It's absolutely remarkable how many awesome careers begin like that.
Did you say the Candlelight Diner?
The Candlelight
Inn. There we go. Candlelight Inn. I was sitting there going, I knew there's candlelight in there. I was kind of like, okay, hey, wow, that's
the Inn.
Yeah. They're in Allentown.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite movie or TV show? What do you like to watch?
I like to watch a lot of cooking channels.
Interesting. Like the chef shows, do you like to watch the ones where they cook against each other, or more like just a cooking show?
Like Bobby Flay and Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives on Friday. Good.
That's good stuff. Yeah, Doc Cohen, what do you like to watch? I don't know if you ever got to you on asking that question. Are you a movie guy, or do you watch more TV shows?
Actually, when I don't have a chance because I'm pretty busy with my practice and everything, and right now, I'm treating a lot of patients, doing med checks, doing a lot of legal psychiatry around the country, helping various tennis players call me up from around the country, and I do mental toughness with them. So I'm pretty busy, but when I have a chance, I like to watch Tennis Channel.
Love it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. watch all the matches. They've had some good matches going on. Let's see, they had Doha. Was it? Yeah, go ahead.
What I do is when to keep in shape, because I don't have much time, so I use Tennis Channel and I keep in shape, and I get on my exercise cycle and I go hard in between the points for about 25 seconds, and then while the point's going on, I watch the point and I go slowly, and then so it helps me stay in shape, and it's realistic. So when you play a match, you get the same kind of a anaerobic feeling and aerobic feeling. So I stay on there for a whole match. So sometimes I'm on the exercise cycle for an hour and a half.
That interval training is absolutely huge rather than just steady state. And it's sport specific to what we're doing. I know Tabata method is a trendy word, but it's just the tennis point rhythm method, right?
So I feel it's good, so I don't have that much time, so I feel I'm killing two birds with one stone, and then I look technically at the things players are doing, and there's more. I'm trying to develop right now more of a modern game and more of semi-Western ground strokes. When Jeff and I played a lot, he'll tell you I was hitting a lot of Eastern ground strokes, and so I'm trying to come over the ball. I've talked about it with Jeff, come over the ball in my forehand and go like that, come over the ball in my backhand and go like that, and I'm working more on semi-Western ground strokes because that's where the game is right now.
Excellent. And Richie, while we're on that topic, we've got a neat question about they want to hear more about Dr. Richie's mental wisdom. While we have had him on the show twice, and we can refer to those. When you do legal psychiatry or helping tennis players all over the country, what's the most common piece of advice you are giving them? And then my follow-up question will be to Jeff is, what do you think of that, and how common is that with some of the young men and women you're dealing with? Richard?
I think everybody's got to realize to be a good tennis player, you have to be realistic and realize what your level of play is. And there's levels of play, and not grandiose yourself and not devalue yourself. Then every day you got to have the attitude that doesn't really matter what other people think about you. It's how you feel about yourself. And so try every day to improve yourself. A lot of players are making speeches during matches, and Jeff will tell you this, what they're going to tell them after the match about why they lost, instead of saying focused in the match. And so keep your focus. And if you do that and try your best in practice and matches, you're going to improve. And you can transfer these traits into other areas of your life. You can transfer it into your academics, into your professional life, into relationships, to try to be like, not judge other people, to accept them and be non-judgmental. And that's going to help you as a person and help you in relationships.
Jeff, what do you think? Is that applying to the kids that you're seeing?
Absolutely. I see that every day, and the kids struggle with it every day.
Really?
And obviously it's not easy for 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old boys and girls to be able to process it that way. They're just not mature enough mentally. We want them to be like a 40-year-old, think like a 40-year-old, but yet they're only 14.
Well, I know they've got to be thankful for your empathy on that, so thank you. Craig, what's next?
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Guys, like the thing is, you want to feel, when you come off the court, and Jeff will tell you this, the worst feeling in the world is that I didn't do my best in this match, and I could have won this match if I would have tried harder. And that's the worst feeling in the world, to come off the court feeling I didn't do my best. And it doesn't matter whether you win or lose to feel good about yourself. Just feel that you've done your best, because if your goals are that you're going to come off the court feeling you got to separate your self-esteem from how you do in matches. And you're a good person whether you win or lose. But the thing you can control is trying your best. So that's a really good piece of advice to tell everybody. And therefore, as you're talking about a 40-year-old right now, Jeff is dealing with a whole bunch of younger players. You want to get the point across that at least they've done their best, that they don't want to get to be 40 years old and think, I could have been a great player, but I didn't really reach my full potential. You want to get out there every day and do as well as you can, so there's going to be no regrets.
That advice is gold, and it's so freeing, allowing us to play our best rather than play what we think might be appropriate in that moment. Because when you play that way, you're so, I know me, I'm just so stunted. And when I play freely, it's like, there it is, you know. Go ahead. Sorry, you were saying breakfast, lunch,
or dinner. Breakfast.
Dinner.
That's a great answer, what you said, Dr. Cohen, but we're moving on. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Jeff?
Dinner.
Dinner.
You know why? Because he's about to the moment we sign off.
All right. So speaking of dinner, right? You're going to invite a couple of people over to your house, to Jeff's house, and we know Doc Cohen and AJ and I are going to be invited. Are there up to 4 people maybe that you would like to invite? Anytime in history, it can be tennis, non-tennis. We've had some really interesting people at the dinner table with us.
Dream dinner guests from any era, Jeff.
Yep.
Dinner guests. Well, let's see. I want Rod Laver, who, by the way, I'm going to go on record saying he is the greatest player of all time.
There you go.
Love it.
There's an asterisk next to him, right? Maybe John F. Kennedy.
That's a good one. Like him.
And just spice it up a little bit, maybe Marilyn Monroe.
That would be a great conversation.
Oh, man. Yeah, that would be really interesting. Yes. Would they be next to each other or across the table from each other?
Well, I'll separate them at first.
It's funny because in this group, they're all from the same era, and Rod Laver is the young guy of the 3 so far. And who's the 4th? Who's our 4th here?
Who's going to be the 4th? Ooh, who's going to be the 4th? You know, I'm going to go way back.
Okay.
Way back on this one. And I'd probably have to have a guy like Martin Luther King.
Fantastic conversation.
Yeah. I didn't know where you were going to go way back to that. Yes.
Yeah.
MLK. Yeah, he'd be fun to talk with because they're all about the same age, same era.
Yeah.
They all have kind of an interesting twist, you know, in what went on back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, you know.
And you and Rod Laver would really fill those 3 in on what's been going on this past few decades.
Right.
I mean, what a crazy conversation that's going to be.
Oh, yeah. No, I like it. I thought you might say Lee Harvey Oswald. That would have been really, you know, have that person there along with that'd be an interesting one. I just thought about that when you were going there. But anyway, what do we serve real quick? What are we going to have for dinner?
Yeah, what are you cooking?
I think I'm going to have a little cauliflower mashed potatoes and a little chicken marsala.
Love it.
Ooh, that's great. That sounds pretty good. Any wine or any beverages to go with that, or just Topo Chico like we drink?
A little glass of red wine with that.
Yep.
And I'll sleep like a baby.
Beautiful.
All right. East Coast, West Coast. I have an idea what you're going to say. East Coast, West Coast.
Wow. I love the West Coast.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought he was going to be just an East Coaster, but no, we're on the West Coast, huh?
I love the West Coast.
You go to like Northern, Southern Cal, Oregon, Washington. We're on the West Coast. That's pretty big.
In Oregon, I want to get to Oregon, but I love Southern Cal.
Okay.
I love Northern Cal.
But more of a San Diego kind of guy, kind of San Diego, LA in that area?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Diego guy.
So does that mean mountains or beach? I have an idea what you're going to say here too.
See, what the best part about it is you can go to the beach and you can go skiing on the same day, and then you can go to wine country and have some wine.
He's got all the bases covered. This guy, he's a smart. That's why he's who he is. Sunrise, sunset. Sunrise or sunset?
I like them both. I'm a morning guy, and that's perfect because I'm not a late night guy.
Okay.
So I love wake up early, watch the sunrise here, especially at the beach. And I love the sunsets in California.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing more spectacular than that. Favorite season? Are you a summer, fall, winter, spring person? What do you like?
Fall.
Fall? Really?
Yeah.
Like a Allentown fall or more of like a Florida fall?
Well, we don't have a fall here.
That's what I was asking. That's like summertime there all the time.
When he said fall, I said he's got to be talking about Pennsylvania, not Florida.
Fall in Pennsylvania was my favorite.
Gorgeous up there.
Leaves changing, all that, the reds and yellows and browns and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect temperature, 70 degrees. I loved it.
Yeah. Nothing better than that. Favorite holiday? What's your favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? I like Christmas.
Do you? Okay. Did you like the Christmas that? Because we've had a couple of guests on who live in the southern hemisphere, and their Christmas is different.
Yeah.
Are you a white Christmas guy, kind of like the Allentown I'm kind of thinking about, or are you more the beach kind of?
The stringing the lights on the palm tree Christmas.
Right. Yes.
Oh, it's grown on me. I really like it. Actually, the Christmas tree is still up.
Oh, it's March, man.
Still alive, and I don't want to take it down until it dies.
That's hilarious.
So that means I was going to ask this question, but what do you like to do in your spare time? But since your Christmas tree still up, there is no spare time.
Clearly.
All right.
I like to do, well, my little Sunday escape usually on a Sunday afternoon is I go to this movie theater called iPic. It's really small theaters. Great. I like to spend my afternoon in there. Nice and quiet, dark.
Yeah.
Have a nice, an ice cold beer, and some popcorn. Watch my movie. It's quiet. Nobody calls me. No texting. Nothing. It's my quiet time.
Do you even take your phone with you, or do you leave it in the car?
I leave it in the car.
All right, let's get. This is the third part of the third set, so we got just a couple more questions, real quick. Favorite tournament? What do you like? Favorite? I'm going to say the Miami Open. Do you like the Miami Open? Do you like?
It was at Crandon Park.
What's that?
And it was at Crandon Park in Key Biscayne.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. I went 2 years ago to the new stadium.
Hard Rock.
Hard Rock. It's all right. Too sterile for me. I like that park feel. That's what I used to love about the U.S. Open when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I would go to Flushing Meadows. I remember when I was 16 and I met Gabriella Sabatini for the first time. Yeah. No, it was more of that park, green grass. You had some green field. Now the U.S. Open, I think, is pretty sterile as well.
The best times were, I think the best tournament to go to is the qualifying of the U.S. Open, because you get to see all the players that are up and coming, and it's just a wonderful experience. I went there with Josh and Julia about 10 straight years when they were playing the juniors and the qualifying. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience, and you'd spend the whole day there seeing all the really up and coming players.
Dr. Cohen, if I can echo that, as a kid, I would go, of course, first week, a few days, but during the qualies, you'd also see main draw stars practicing over there while you see actual live quali matches in singles and women's and men's singles. And that was just an unforgettable time. Also, school hadn't started yet, so it was like I'd be there all day and sneak into whatever I could sneak into at 7, 8, 9 at night, too. The best.
Those are some great times, because I had the player pass from Josh and Julia, and I would see all the outer matches, and then I would go into the stadium at night, and it would be just an ideal time. It was such wonderful memories going up to the qualifying to the U.S. Open.
The best.
Great times.
Jeff, do you like to watch tennis on TV? When you have a moment, do you watch tennis?
I watch it when I have time.
In your spare moment, you like to watch it. Do you watch it as a coach, or can your mind turn off and just watch it just for entertainment value?
I can watch it as entertainment.
You do. You kind of shut it off.
Yeah,
shut it off.
Yeah.
Our guest last week, Craig O'Shaughnessy, the famous stat analyst for the ATP and WTA, I asked him that question. I go, "Is your mind shut off?" And he goes, "No."
He said, "Mate, I watch it on 4 times, like it's even faster than normal."
Right, he speeds it up.
He can't not analyze, so he watches it and only tags. It was such a funny answer.
Yeah, it was really interesting. That's why I wanted to know, because I figured he was going to say that.
I want to ask Jeff, what's his favorite tennis song?
Well, come on, there's only one favorite tennis song. It's Richie. It's your.
It's tennis.
One verse, Dr. C. You got to give us one verse of tennis.
Acapella. Let's go.
Tennis, making spirits sublime, a game for all seasons, a sport for a lifetime. At 1980 at Kinwood, Ken and Rich had aching joints, and after an hour and 29 minutes, the world's longest point. Tennis, making spirits sublime, a game for all seasons, a sport for a lifetime. Against Harvard, he ran right through the gate and came back into the court that sealed the Crimson's fate. Tennis, making spirits sublime, a game for all seasons, a sport for a lifetime. Raising two children, teaching them the game, having good sportsmanship is more important than all of life's fame. Playing the circuit, stories about the past, camaraderie with the players, friendships that always last. What you taught me, I will never forget, being intense and trying my best in all of life's tasks. Tennis, making spirits sublime, a game for all seasons, a sport for
Lifetime.
Richie,
Oh, there it
excellent.
is. The master.
Thank you. Well written and beautifully sang, too.
Jeff, what sport would you have played if it wasn't tennis?
I would play baseball.
Really, baseball. Did you grow up playing baseball in Allentown before you played tennis?
Yeah, I played a lot of baseball.
No kidding. Interesting.
Yeah, I even still played in college. My buddy that I played baseball with as a junior played like semi-pro baseball, and he would always ask me if he could put me on the roster because he could always throw me in second base, shortstop, third base, anywhere.
And you could just fill right in. Hey,
right.
we're roughly the same age. I must ask, while we're on baseball, the Pirates were great when you were a kid. The Phillies won the 1980 World Series when you were a kid. Which was your team?
I was a Yankee fan.
You were a New York
Yankee?
Yankees fan. How about that? Which was another powerhouse in the 70s and really in any era.
I used to go to all the games.
Yeah.
My fathers were huge Yankee fans, and so it was great. Just my kitty just made an appearance.
What a beauty. Holy cow. Is that a guy or a girl?
The guy.
What's his name?
His name was Shadow.
Shadow's a beauty. What a great name, too.
Yeah. Did you go any Grapefruit League games? Are you going to spring training games in the Grapefruit?
I've been trying to get to some, and I even tried to get over to Tampa a little bit to see the Yankees.
Uh-huh.
I just haven't been over there.
Yeah. Well,
You're probably closer to Port St. Lucie
Yeah.
where you could see the Mets, right?
Nationals and
Mets.
Mets and all that up there. So maybe next weekend I can get up there.
I hope you do. Or you just go to iPick and have a beer and some popcorn.
That to me is what I want to do.
And
no, I'm coming down. I'm going to go with him to a game in the Grapefruit League. I've been to the Cactus League, but I haven't been to the Grapefruit League.
This segment sponsored by iPick in Florida.
That's right. All right, last two questions. We got two questions for you. Then you and Shadow can go off and eat and have some dinner.
Yep.
And if you wouldn't have been involved in sports, especially into tennis, what would you be doing now? Where do you see yourself?
I'd be a chef.
Really?
Chef.
Okay. Chef. Chef Jeff. See, it
Yeah.
rhymes, doesn't it? Chef Jeff. That's
They'd just call you. They'd call you Chef Puhan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I really wanted to go to culinary school first. I actually even applied to culinary school in Paris.
Uh-huh.
I applied to Le Cordon Bleu, and I had all the letters written for me from all the executive chefs that I worked with. And my dad made a point saying that if I needed to go to college first, and after I got my degree from college and I wanted to go to culinary school, feel free to go to culinary school after that. It's fine. Clearly, after 4.5 years of college, there's no way I wanted to go back to school again.
Man, you've got quite a pedigree. Le
No
Cordon
kidding.
Bleu,
Yep.
Ferris State,
Saxophone.
Philly Cricket Club, and now Boca Raton, which is a big epicenter of tennis these
No,
days.
no kidding. Yeah. I mean, that's unbelievable. I would have thought chef. I remember it picked up. You did say you like watch cooking shows and Bobby Flay and Diners, Drive-Ins, and Triple D. I like watching that show as well. I even watch the old ones too. I mean, Guy Fieri is pretty interesting.
Welcome to Flavortown.
That's it. All right, last question. This is it. This is the creme de la creme. This is the big one right now. If you were the commissioner of the great game, and the great game, we call it the great game of tennis, it was in your hands, and you could make a change or changes, what change would you make? Is there, or maybe not? Is there anything that you would do differently that we might be able to enhance the great game, or maybe you like it the way it is?
No, I think the game is great the way it is. I mean, it's first off, it's the only sport. I don't agree with some of the coaching that the WTA gets to use some coaching on court. I think it's the only sport in the world where it's like a real boxing match, right? It's mano a mano, me against you, figure it out. And I think that's one of the great things about our sport. I think they've already made enough changes to the sport. You know, just remember back in the day when every tournament they played were best of 5 set, no tiebreak sets back in the day. And everyone said that those guys weren't in any shape. Well, I think otherwise.
Oh, I mean, when you win a match 14-12, 20-22, 6-4, 5-7, and then the last set, who's got it?
71-69.
Yeah, that's right.
Isner Mahmoud.
Nico Mahou and
3 days. It was 3 days of that match.
I mean, I think tradition, I'm a traditionalist guy. Actually, obviously coming from a club like Philly Cricket, you get to appreciate the traditions and the past of the game and the history of the game. And I think that's where the game needs to stay. Now, I know they're trying to speed the game up a little bit for advertising purposes for the general fan.
Well, also for the dwindling attention span of the public, right?
Well, not us.
Exactly.
Not us.
We'll sit there, watch 3 days of tennis like that, 71-69, find it riveting.
Oh, we'll just pretend it's a cricket match and go 4 days. It's fine.
Well, that's 7 days, some of those tests. Man, that's some boring stuff right there.
That is a sport that we used to play that at Philly Cricket, and I'd be like,
sure.
no thanks. I'll bat, but that's it.
Yeah.
I went to the 100th year of Davis Cup, the 1999 USA versus Australia at Longwood. And I remember asking 2 of the pros there, and actually one of them in the conversation was the great Vic Satius. And I asked all of them, when was the last cricket played here? And they said, one of them didn't even remember. Vic had a decent answer because he played the grass court circuit in the late 60s and I would say 50s and 60s. What can you tell us about Philly Cricket Club, and when was the last cricket played there?
Well, no, so we played in the fall.
You kept rolling.
We played in the fall and we played in the spring. And in the spring, we would have a huge international cricket festival, and they would use all 3 cricket clubs, Germantown Cricket Club, Marion Cricket Club,
and Philly.
Like the islands would come in.
West Indies. Who'd you have? West Indies, Pakistan, Great Britain. Who else?
Spain. Teams that would come in. And obviously the grass courts are shut down then, so the club was still packed.
I thought you were going to say 1855, something like that. Who cares?
I mean, you're talking about the 90s when you were there.
know, right.
Very recent.
Yeah.
As you're talking about Vic Satius, I got an interesting anecdote.
Please, Dr. Cohen. Vic Satius. Love that man.
He's such a wonderful man. He was working as a stock. He won Wimbledon in the U.S. Open, but because there was not open tennis then, he was working as a stockbroker in Center City, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Age of 14 to age of 18, he would hit with me once a week. And then he taught me about off-court training, because I remember after we would practice for a couple hours, we used to play over at Norbith Tennis Club once a month. And he would run all around the courts. And he taught me, and then I started doing a lot of running after that, because he taught me about off-court training. This guy focus on our practice sessions was just unbelievable. And you saw he was just probably the most phenomenal athlete as a tennis player. His strokes weren't wonderful, but his flexibility and his ability to compete and how hard he put out 110% on practice all the time. And it was just, even against a player like, I was a good like a very solid junior, but I got a lot out of knowing him as a person, and just a wonderful, wonderful man. And he used to take the Paoli local up from Center City to hit with me like after school once a month.
He took the local up to you to hit some balls and then take it right back.
Yeah.
He lived down in the Center City or South Side? Where did he live?
Actually, he lived in Haverford back then.
Okay, Haverford, PA, suburb.
Paoli local. I lived in Marion, and he would come over to Norbert Tennis Club and work out with me and everything. So
Excellent.
that was a very good experience. I just wanted to tell you what a great guy Vic Sage was.
He's such a great guy. And how about the name? I realize it's originally from Portugal, but I always thought vexatious sounds like an adjective. Like, I hope you had a great day. Yes, it was a vexatious day. Just what a great, just a
like
star.
like vivacious,
vexatious. And then you look at the guy. He's the most handsome, fit. Even at the
He
age
looked like
of
a movie
70,
star.
he looked like a movie star.
He did. I mean, he had that slick back hair.
Yeah.
You could just see him walking down out there in Hollywood, just kind of hanging out there.
He was looking very vexatious.
Yeah,
even in
Brentwood. I
his-
could see him at Brentwood at maybe like a little bistro, hanging out one day.
Yeah.
He came up in his seersucker suits and looked just like a movie star back then. His wife looked like a movie star back then. He used to meet us after practices, and he was just, but you wouldn't have believed he was so down to earth. And here's a guy who won 2 Grand Slams, won the Davis Cup for our country, I think 4 times with Tony Trabert, and he's so down to earth and such a nice, humble, wonderful manner for me when I was growing up.
You're very privileged to have Vic in your life. That's incredible. And Jeff Puhan, you are very privileged to have Dr. Richie Cohen in your life, and we are very privileged to have these two cats on our show. That was awesome.
Just through Zoom and just a couple of podcasts like this, we appreciate your time because we know it's late in the Eastern time zone, and we want to thank you all very much for the hour and hour and a half. We're
Dr. Richie, it's getting near 11. We want East time. We want you to get a good night's sleep.
Yep.
Jeff, dinner. And then hopefully a little wind down and have some sleep. And Craig Bell.
We're coming to the Grapefruit League game next week with you, Jeff. I'm coming. I'm driving down there. I don't fly. We take Bel Air. That's Bel Air's a joke because I drive like I'm flying.
He drives 500 miles an hour. Yeah.
So I'm coming down. Save me a spot.
It's a wonderful, enjoyable time. You both guys are so great and wonderful and have such a great sense of humor, and it's so great to talk to you guys. I really had a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. And it's so good to see my good friend Jeff Puhan over there and how great he's doing.
We are thankful to know Jeff, and we're so happy you set this up. Jeff Puhan, any parting words for us tonight?
No, just thank you, everyone. It was a great. Richie, it's so great to see you. Hopefully we'll get you out on the court soon. We'll hit some balls. And it was an enjoyable evening. I appreciate it, guys.
We thank you for...
Looking forward to hitting with you, Jeff. I'll see you soon, buddy.
Yeah. We're working on that Western forehand. You got to be working on that Western forehand.
Gotcha.
Good night, everybody. We appreciate it.
Good night. Big thanks. Craig Bell, what'd you think, man?
Yeah, that was awesome. That was 3
good.
great sets with 3 of our favorite, two of our favorite people right there.
Awesome.
So
3. I'm going to include you on that one.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to get Jeff a trinomial name because we have DRC, the notorious DRC, and Jeff. Maybe we can figure out his middle name or something like that. We can call him, Jeff. What's your middle name, real quick, Jeff, before you knock off? What?
Patrick.
JPP.
JP. Easy.
JPP. There we
Easy.
go. We got him right there. So we appreciate that. But should we hit James Scott again one more time? Okay.
We should.
We'll get a great James Scott Campbell here, and we'll sign off with the dismount, right? Thanks for listening to Season 1, Episode 79 of At the Net Podcast. Join us next week as we'll be talking with Marsha Gray.
Oh, she is amazing.
Yes.
Author.
Yes.
Yoga, tennis, amazing lady. Yeah.
Namaste. Namaste, because we had Margaret Bannon on, so we know that
That's right.
that word. That'll be Namaste next week. So that'll be
Good. Word of the
it was
day.
brilliant this week. But also join us on Wednesday night. We do Instagram. We do this again on Wednesday nights a
I
little bit,
can't
don't we?
wait. We always look forward to these shows, but we also look forward to those Wednesday night. We call them tennis shorts, short version of our show. Instagram only. Me in the top screen generally. Craig Bell in the bottom screen,
Yep.
and you in the comments. So join us for that.
Well, it could be in the secret square. See, I could be in the secret square right there.
There is no shortage of 70s references on this show.
Are you Paul Lynde or am I Peter Marshall?
I can go Paul Lynde because I can do a few voices like, hello and how you doing, even? I can do.
You have that down.
Snagglepuss. Yeah, I can do a voice.
Well, that's on Wednesday night. We do that at 8 o'clock. It's called Tennis Shorts. We always do two legs of the short. And your favorite saying is what?
What's inside Craig Bell's tennis shorts?
And I always
Find
say,
out Wednesday night, 8
not much.
Central, 9 Eastern.
And lastly, be sure to tell a friend or friends as we like your friends, and hopefully they'll like us. And that's the tennis news as it
seems
to
to
us.
us.
Good night, everybody from Dallas, Texas.
Good night. Thank you.
Here.